Hi, welcome to Shape Language. I'm your host, Alvin Lee, and with me I have two amazing artists. I have Esben Rasmussen.
Hey y'all.
And Moby Francke.
Hello.
Do you guys mind telling me about yourself?
Yeah. Hey guys. My name is Esben, and I work as an artist and illustrator for League of Legends currently, and I'm making splash arts there.
And my name is Moby, and I've worked on games like Team Fortress 2, Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Dota 2.
A lot of twos.
Yes. A lot of dudes, and yes, of course, at Riot I worked on League of Legends, and I was art director on Valorant. Now I'm just joined as a co-founder at a startup.
All right, and I've worked on, Marvel's Deadpool, eventually the Street Fighter comic book series, and, more recently, of course, we have League of Legends splash art. And between us, we have about 50 years of professional art experience. So we think that you'd like to see us react to some art, so let's do it. So first off, we have, this is Maurizio Cattelan, and this is The Comedian.
That's the title of the piece?
This is the title of the piece. I'm sure you know a little bit of history about this. Do you know, Moby? This was at Art Basel.
Yep.
And basically he duct taped the banana to the wall and it went viral. Everyone wanted to take a photo with it, and to the point where they had to take the banana out of the exhibit because it was too frenetic. Like too many people wanted to take a photo with this thing.
So I think in this situation, right, it's to critique it, it's more of a, it's an act, right? It's a piece of expression, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this, Esben?
I think
give it to me honestly, man.
It's not my cup of tea, and that's okay. Yeah. That it doesn't have to be, but yeah, I think it was more the statement and the wave and the excitement of that wave, but it wasn't for me.
Okay, I don't think that this is a great piece of art, obviously, because anyone can do it, but I do think that it is genius in its message, though. It's almost like throwing a middle finger to the establishment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think if I show you some of his other work, I think you'll understand. Yeah, there's another one of his sculptures. These are like.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so the fact that he put a banana on the wall, the banana becomes meaningful. Then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next artist, shall we?
Let's do it. Hey, it's Ross Tran.
It is Ross Tran. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ross Tran.
Sure. I can start.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Like having eyes on Ross, like way back, like even when he starts applying for Art Center, and then seeing some of his growth, I think he's definitely found over the years found his own voice and how to express that. And I think that Ross lands in a really nice place where he takes something that is more towards anime, and then he takes his spin on it. So some of his stuff is very anime, and some of it is more realistic, but he has that range where he fuses and blends in between. And I love that he still manages to create something that's polished, but does it in a rough, painterly sense. He knows when to stop, which is nice.
Yeah. I think obviously the guy is insanely talented. I think he did this piece when he was 20, 21 or something like that. Straight out of school, and he's already doing this. All of his stuff just looks crazy appealing,
Oh, totally.
But however, some of the other areas that's not the face, you can see that he's kind of using a lot of brush effects and stuff like that.
That's great. But he's kind of taking cues from artists like Richard Schmid or Jeremy Lipking, where everything's not pixel, right? Everything's not just whittled down. It's a
rawness to it.
Yeah, and he's just you know what? I'm gonna let you guess, right? There's an expressionism in his mind, which is very important.
All right, next artist. We have Shepard Fairey.
Yeah.
This is probably his most famous piece by far. Yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this piece.
Just awesome. I mean, it's just very graphical, readability is super high, iconic, right? The style and how it's done is not like, you know, completely new,
No.
but it's still super iconic and it works and it does a good job of it.
Certainly. I mean, it's posterized, it's graphic. His campaign won top advertisement of the year. I think it was for that election in 2008. And this obviously, like, I mean, you saw it on everything right at that time. So it's like, yeah, genius.
What's crazy is that to think that, you know, a piece of art can swing an election.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The power of art.
The power of art, yeah, exactly. Like this piece may have been, you know, enough to like sway the tides just a little bit. So obviously, you know, you guys are familiar with this logo.
Classic.
This was what launched Shepard Fairey, obviously.
Absolutely.
Basically, like the idea behind it is brilliant, though, which is basically like, you know, propaganda. Like if you put it on everything and people see it enough, it becomes something.
We're using Andre the Giant.
Which is using Andre the Giant's
as
face.
Big Brother, right? 1984 Orwellian thing going on, right?
I had to give kudos to him. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
Shepard Fairey is like one of my heroes as a result. Creating like humble beginnings to, you know, this massive brand now, you know?
No doubt, yeah.
So, it all came from a simple idea, which is what makes it awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on.
Oh my goodness.
Next we have Sergey Kolesov. And I included this for obvious reasons. Yeah, take it away.
I can't say anything. He's too good.
Yep.
He's just.
No, I want you to say something.
I know, but it's like
Because-
he's so good.
I know.
it's like who am I to say something about
No,
this guy?
no,
because
exactly.
he's-
Just tell
Man.
people why he's good.
no,
Why
like,
is he
he
good?
is-
Okay, what is it
Oh, yeah.
appealing to?
Why is he
Oh, yeah.
good? Yeah.
He is a master when it comes to things, but it's also like if you know his work too, he has such a body of variation, so he can tackle anything. But what I really love about this piece in particular is his balance and juxtaposition between the abstract and the realism.
Yep.
So there's a really nice stylization of the realistic elements, and the realistic elements is, you know, around the pores, the eyes, just where it matters, and then everywhere else pretty much he goes in and really stylizes and like leaves it almost impressionistic. Yeah, he's just good. He's just really, really good.
Moby, take it away. Why is he awesome?
No, absolutely. So there was a guy in art school that I looked up to. His name was Gary Kelly. Gary Kelly, J.C. Leyendecker, Dean Cornwell, they all were doing some of the same things, like working with shape, just like the silhouette shape, the interior shapes, making really interesting like angles that draw you. Like the face shapes all have, there's triangles, there's horizontals, there's diagonals, there's verticals, right? The one critique that I would have about this, and this is just, he has a beautiful rim light hitting, but that's like, it's almost, the lighting on the forehead, it's almost too light. I would almost like tamp down the...
like it's competing too much with the key light.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. Just ever so slightly, like it's...
Let's keep moving. Yeah, this one is just like the read hierarchy, as you'd like to say, Moby.
Yes.
Can you tell people about why this read hierarchy is awesome?
Well, it's about squinting your eyes again, right?
Yeah.
And when you squint your eyes, what happens is that it breaks it down into a value structure in its minimalist way. There's a horizon line that just comes clean with those red belts. You see those red belts? See how like perfectly it just goes right across and brings you back up? I mean, it's just, I lose my...
There's so many things that he's doing right with this piece.
Absolutely.
Like the warms versus the cools.
Yeah.
The warms are just hitting the focal point.
Yeah.
And then the most saturated red is like right on that throne, you know what I mean? It's like, I love it. The warms and cools in this is just perfect.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Ruan Jia.
Wow.
I'm sure you guys are familiar with his work, obviously.
Absolutely.
To the viewers that don't know Ruan Jia, like Like everybody knows him, right? He's like a superstar.
Yeah.
But why is he a superstar? I'd like to know your opinion.
In my opinion, at that time, one of the only people who did like this sort of like expressive
This style,
form of
right?
style, and the amount of detail and texture that he was able to capture was just like way more than anybody else at that time
Yeah, I
too.
agree.
And I know too that he has pieces where he goes crazy with color and still makes it work, and he makes it feel hyper detailed.
Yeah. Moby, you got anything on this?
Oh no, I mean there's definitely like a Craig Mullins kind of feel to it, which I love, and innovation, right? Like he's bringing a lot in, and like Esben's saying, right? Like you can go crazy with saturation, but your value is the thing that's really going to set you apart. So you want value to do the work, and then the color takes the credit, you know, and then the value complexity kind of gets diminished into 3, right?
Yeah.
In the character, there are 3 values that are going on there, right? There's like kind of like a mid-tone, the highlights, right, and then the darks.
Yep.
So, like obviously the area of that orange, right? The saturation area is kind of the corona around the character's head, right?
Yeah. I just love his the way he renders materials.
Yeah.
Like his
Amazing.
the way that the things can look really matte, but then he just puts like a tiny specular on things, and all of a sudden it looks shiny.
If you look into his shadow areas, they're all very warm.
Yeah.
And then as you start getting into the highlights, they turn into cool blues almost, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where you really see the saturation and color pops.
Yeah.
I really like what Moby said about the previous piece, but it is very prevalent in this one too, where it is that sort of like the value are doing the hard work and the colors are taking the credit, like are just stealing that show. And,
oh yeah.
and I you know even though it's amazing colors, if you still look at the values, they're insane.
It's so good.
So
yeah. The subsurface scattering on our nose here is a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great teaching moment.
sure. Essentially, subsurface scattering is when light is emitted through areas where there's not a lot of things to block that light, leaving the color of whatever is within, in this case, very red.
It's like usually common with like noses, ears, anything that's like thin in terms of the cartilage. It's almost like when you put your hand into the sun, right? It turns
Right. See,
red.
I'll do an example.
Yeah.
See how it starts to get a little warm right there?
Is it actually turning red?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that, and thank you for being a very kind model there, Esben.
I didn't have a choice.
All right. Next artist,
Oh my goodness.
we have Rob Liefeld, and Rob Liefeld is artist of X-Force as well. He's creator of Deadpool, so he's a very famous comic book artist from the 90s. And I'd like to know what you guys think about this Captain America.
Definitely like pushed stylistically.
That's a kind way
My
to
chest
put.
goes just straight down. This is going at almost a right angle. But I love the fact that he's kind of like designing in such a way. Like when I was a kid, I just loved this type of art where it was like so, like the muscles are so shiny and so pushed stylistically.
I mean, first off, I love some of the things that he has worked on. Particularly, I think is X-Force.
X-Force, yeah.
Yeah, I think X-Force.
I was a huge
is
fan when I was a
super
kid.
awesome.
Yeah, totally. But now, as a professional, looking back on it,
the chest is pushed a lot, and there's,
that's putting it lightly.
that is putting it. Like if you look at it from the technical aspect, right, and then there's something funky happening with the center line, where it starts bending, even though like the rest of it,
his
kind of like
neck is
side.
not connected to his waist.
Well, it's almost like his left breast is coming out. It's like coming towards you. Yeah.
But
Right.
it kind of sucks too that it's this thing that determines it, right? Because like you have to remember too that like all the good stuff he's created too.
Yeah,
So-
no, he's
Oh, yes.
he was a huge part of my childhood,
Yeah.
and he's always been good at doing faces. But this is more recent stuff that he's done.
That's cool.
So good.
Yeah.
Clearly he's improved over time. A little bit stiff, I'd say, his neck there, but for the most part, you know, like I appreciate that he's, you know, trying to improve himself, you know. This is the Pouch Man.
Pouch Man.
I
the
love
pouch.
it.
I think in an interview once, he was like, you know, some people asked him, like, why do you have so many pouches on things?
Yeah.
Like, pouches on everything, you know what I mean? And he was like, you know, what's wrong with pouches? Pouches are useful. You know what I mean? And then he ended up, you know, just creating a guy that's just all pouches.
You gotta love that. Like,
I'm
how...
gonna give you some pouches.
Yeah. Is this enough for you? That's awesome. What a fun joke. And like...
He's
introducing
at least he can laugh at himself,
the
you know what I
pouch.
mean? Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's-
That's such a good gag. Greg Mullins. Yeah.
I almost had to include him as a starter because, you know, he's the godfather of the digital art.
He was,
you know?
Yeah. It's wonderful illustration. When I squint my eyes, the character kind of gets lost at the bottom of the ground plane or halfway through, which is okay because maybe it's just the fact that he hides in the shadows. I mean, it could be going there. It's beautiful.
I mean, you know, not much to say about Craig Mullins except, you know,
I can't paint like that.
yeah, he
No, I
makes
can't either.
Yeah.
he makes digital painting look traditional,
Absolutely.
which is a kind of a feat all in itself.
Yep.
The thing that's really brilliant about this one is actually how detailed it feels compared to how detailed it actually is.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it is the illusion of detail. Like, your eye is filling in so much in this painting.
Oh my god.
Another Craig Mullins masterpiece. I actually went in and took a look at the soldiers, and you know, I believe he cut and paste some of them, but if you actually look closely, they're actually individually painted as well.
Oh, sure.
Really?
Yeah, look, if you look closely at each one, especially the ones in the foreground, he took the time to like
Yeah, you can see
paint
that.
over them a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, which I appreciate. The composition of this piece is
This
just,
is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, how all of your eye just like draws directly to him, you
Yep.
know, using the perspective as like arrows pointing towards his face, you know.
Yeah, it's a triangle, right?
Yep.
It's a triangle that leads you directly up, and then it's called dynamic symmetry, right? So everything's pretty much symmetric except for, like, say, his pose.
Total symmetry except him.
Except
Exactly.
him, yeah. That's,
Right?
And
that's a
where
great
you have
little
the
detail,
contrast.
and that's
where you
what
have the
makes him
contrast.
even more of a focal point.
Yep.
You know?
I actually think if you took out the banners, like the foreground banners,
Yeah.
the composition will start to like feel more empty, and it really gives that extra depth.
There's a thing called a Pythagorean grid.
Yeah,
So
for sure it's using it.
Yeah, he's using it. It's going, you know, he's going vertical, diagonals, horizontal, up at the top, right? It's really well done.
Yeah, we'll include the Pythagorean grid,
Yeah.
you know, in the, you know, comments below. Let's move on.
All right.
This is
Oh, yes.
Damien Hirst.
Absolutely.
I included him for obvious reasons as well. I think he's like the record holder for how much money he's made as an artist or something like that. It's one of his sold out shows, like it was like $200 million or something like that. That's
crazy.
Yeah, so this one here is obviously you know, skull made of pure diamonds.
And a real skull at that.
Right. Was it like grafted onto a real skull? Okay. I mean, some say that, you know, he's pandering to art dealers. He's actually like giving them what they want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, here you go, buy this. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
But
right.
that's the brilliance of it too.
Oh,
right?
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and you look at his catalog, and it's always, you know, it's luxury. Everything he does is so over the top, well done,
Opulent.
opulent. Yeah,
totally.
so he's going for that. Or he's not going for lowbrow in any way or form.
No.
It's obviously for the elite people.
Only the super rich can
Exactly.
appreciate
Yes,
his art. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is crazy too. Like the subsection of a cow or something. It's all like preserved in formaldehyde or something like that.
Yeah, I remember seeing this in New York.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts though. I mean, the shock factor of this is pretty high. He did a piece like this with a shark, and then one of them started deteriorating, and he had to like figure a way to replace the shark for whoever bought the piece.
Did he use duct tape?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I don't know how long formaldehyde lasts for, but obviously not forever. You know?
Yeah.
It just turns to gum.
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine? Like you bought this for like $100 million, and it just turns to like, you know, a soup. You know?
I'll probably not do that in the first
No,
place.
no, it's a bad investment.
Yeah.
I would probably use that money differently.
Right. But I will have to say though, if I saw this at a gallery, I would enjoy looking at this.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
You know?
good.
sure.
Okay.
Oh.
Last but not least, we have.
Damn, I did not expect that, like from shark to this. Yeah, okay.
Last but not least, we have Sakimi Chan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
A
again,
very explicit picture you found.
Very.
you know, maybe some of the viewers who don't know who Sakimi Chan is, probably one of the most popular like anime digital artists out there. Yeah, take it away, guys.
So she has all this visual activity that's going on, but then she has these very simple rendered lighting conventions in the areas that she wants you to look at. So she's doing that thing where it's very abstract in the background,
Right.
and then there's like simplified areas where she wants you to look. And there's one area specifically that's very simplified, which I won't say. I can see her intention to what she's doing.
You can definitely see your intention.
Yes. I'm gonna leave it at that, or else I'm gonna be
Esben?
drawn off.
I think craft-wise, Sakimi Chan is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, there are things that I wish that I could render like Sakimi Chan. She does an incredible job sometimes at really defining materials and apparently really fast from the look of it. Whether I like it personally, I think it's sex sells. If it's me, I prefer not to just go out in the direction of sex.
She can do like skin tones, like very realistic.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
know?
of course.
And if you squint your eyes and you kind of look at this piece, it almost looks like it's done by a computer. You know what I mean? Like CG. Again, yeah, doesn't leave much to the imagination, does it?
Well, it's obviously going to a younger demographic of young men, I'd assume, I guess. But yeah, amazing rendering. I mean, the water, for example, like that looks...
Looks real, yeah.
Yeah, looks real. I can almost hear her back cracking.
There's definitely a tangent of the hat to the top of the screen.
Absolutely.
Some more negative space could definitely help the composition.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I can see why she's popular. I mean, so if you liked what you saw here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave, artists that you want us to react to in the comments below, and hit that notification bell. Anything else you want to add?
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.